Detroit Den 313, Detroit Lions fans, welcome back. Steve here. Got another football talk episode for you. You were talking about them Detroit Lions. We're getting ready for that NFC Championship. Real quick, hit that subscribe button for me. Greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate all those subscriptions, guys. I'm trying to catch them big dogs in this YouTube podcast game. I'm way behind. Help me out a little bit. First and foremost, I did an episode today, earlier this morning, talking about some of the advantages that the Detroit Lions, I think, will have against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I have to play devil's advocate. This isn't going to be a glamorous Detroit Lions podcast where I'm just pounding the drum and saying there's no chance we lose. Like, San Francisco 49ers have a damn good team. I'm going to talk a little bit about some weaknesses I think the Detroit Lions have against the 49ers, but I kind of want your guys' opinion at the end. And I'm going to get to that. Stick around. So, obviously, our outside corners, Cam Sutton and Kindle Vildor, man, they've been getting roasted. They've been giving up some massive plays, some huge chunks of yards. But at the end of the day, I have a motto: yards don't win you games, points do. So we're locking down when we need to. But I just don't want to be playing with fire all day. And I got to confess a sin. This podcast, Detroit Den 313. We have very, very rarely mentioned or talked about Cam Sutton. And I have to confess, I've said for a while now that I don't think Cam Sutton is that true lockdown number one corner that the Detroit Lions we're missing it. I don't think he's that guy. I think he's been a very, very good corner for 90% of the year. And maybe I'm being a little harsh because the last few weeks, we've faced some of the top receivers in the league since Christmas Eve. So I gotta maybe give him a break, but this is another topic where I want your guys' opinion. Am I being too harsh? And trust me, I can take a little flack. I understand. But since Christmas Eve, we faced Justin Jefferson twice. We faced CD Lamb from the Cowboys, who absolutely torched us. Puka Nacua, probably one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year, probably going to finish second in that race. And then last week we played Mike Evans. We've played some big name receivers, Hall of Famers, the best receivers in the game, and we've gotten torched. That kind of falls on you, Cam Sutton, because you're supposed to be that number one corner. Kindle Vildor came over from another team that we picked up on waivers. So when I'm looking at corners, Cam Sutton, you're the guy. You're the one who you're getting number one corner reps. And I will say this. I rewatched the Detroit Lions game the other night. Actually, it was last night. I rewatched the game, and I kind of had this bad taste in my mouth about some of these yards when I was at the game on Saturday or Sunday watching in person. I was like, man, Cam Sutton's kind of getting roasted. But when I sat back and I watched the game on TV last night, I watched the recording of it so I could fast forward all that bullshit commercials and halftime and all that. Just watch the game. Cam Sutton against Mike Evans. Cam Sutton won some battles. I would say Cam Sutton won some battles. Mike Evans won some battles. It was kind of a 50-50 thing. Sutton made some plays. Evans made some plays. That was just kind of how the game went. And my criticism wasn't very fair. So I have to apologize. I don't even have to confess this. I'm just telling you guys, like, I didn't tweet anything. I'm telling you what I was thinking. At the time of the game, I thought Cam Sutton's getting roasted, man. Like, this is no good. But he made some plays. But what I didn't like from Sutton, and this was what I noticed watching the game, and I rewound it a few times on the TV. Sutton had a chance to come up and make a hit on a couple running plays, and it felt like he kind of bailed out and didn't really stick his head in there and make a tackle. And I'm not trying to be all picky and nitty gritty. End of the day, we're going to the NFC Championship. But let me get down to what we're facing and why I think that this is a weakness. But like I said, San Francisco has some weapons. Does San Francisco have that caliber of wide receiver, like I mentioned before, with CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson? I know they have Deebo Samuel. Even if he plays, he's not really that down the field type receiver, like that's just going to go run like a 30-yard route and make a play. But Samuel is still a weapon. When he gets the ball, the 49ers give him the ball in numerous ways. I mean, they even use him as a running back. So he's kind of the guy. And I know Brandon Ayuk is having a good year. George Kittle, like, they have weapons. But when you think about wide receivers for the San Francisco 49ers, it kind of comes down to Cam Sutton versus Deebo Samuel. And when they use Deebo Samuel in the slot, we got guys like Brian Branch. We can match up. But if Samuel's out wide, I think Sutton can win that that battle because Debo's not an elite route runner. He's just he's a physical, big receiver. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing CJ Gardner-Johnson on him because I know we had some Twitter beef back in the day, not too long ago at the beginning of the season with those two. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit, maybe an episode on that tomorrow. But I know in the past this has been a disadvantage for the Lions, but in this game, I think it matches up well because of the caliber of players that the San Francisco 49ers have. They don't have that Justin Jefferson. They don't have that CeeDee Lamb. They don't have that Puka Nacua, that Mike Evans. They have some guys, but they're a different caliber of player. So how big of a disadvantage are our corners in this game? I think in the last 4 weeks, it's been a huge disadvantage. When I look at this game against San Francisco, I think we can kind of reel it back a little bit. I do think San Francisco is going to look at our corners and take some shots down the field. I think they're going to try to get us out of position. I think they're going to try to pick on Sutton and Vildor at times. They're going to pick their spots. Coach Shanahan of the 49ers is an offensive genius. I think he's going to look at this cornerback room and think this is probably the weakest spot on the Detroit Lions. How can I capitalize on this? Shanahan's a damn good coach. Got to give him his flowers. He's probably one of the top coaches in the NFL. Hasn't won a Super Bowl, so he's not up there with those big guys, but he's in that next tier. So that's a disadvantage. How can the Detroit Lions combat that disadvantage? I've preached this for months. If you've been watching the show, pass rush covers up a bad secondary or a questionable secondary, however you want to phrase it for the Detroit Lions. If our secondary is struggling, it doesn't matter if we're getting a pass rush on Brock Purdy. Mainly Aiden Hutchinson, who's been playing like an absolute monster the last 5 weeks of the season, whatever it is, where he's just an absolute animal that can't be caged. So if Aiden's getting after Brock Purdy and making him feel as uncomfortable as much as possible, that's an absolute must. It's going to help guys like Kindle Vildor. It's going to help Cam Sutton. It's going to help Kirby Joseph. They don't have to cover all day if Brock Purdy's on his ass, guys. That's all I'm saying. But if Purdy has time, he's a decent enough quarterback to read coverages, to understand mismatches. Shanahan's going to be in his ear all day, with the headset on. Even, he's going to be coached up. He's going to be ready for this game. I don't think Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. I think he's a very, very good quarterback. I think he very, very fits their system, but I don't think he's elite. If we can get after him and rat him a little bit, he's kind of experienced. He's been to the NFC Championship game. I guess we'll call it like 1.5 times now because he didn't really finish the game last year against the Eagles. But if Hutch is putting him on his ass, guys, all these issues with these corners I'm talking about doesn't mean anything. But if he has time, it's going to be a chess match. I talk about it all the time. There's a game within the game. Does Purdy have time or does he not? That's what it's really going to come down to. Because if he has time, I think he's going to make some throws. If he's running for his life or if Hutch and the boys are on him, it's not going to matter, guys. So leave a comment down below. Let me know how you're thinking. Hit that like button. If you're new to this channel and you're a Detroit Lions fan, hit that subscribe button, guys. Greatly appreciated. I'll be back tomorrow with some more content.